welcome to our first ever virtual Circ Desk for the Brock Township Public Libraries. We're so happy to be here. And today we have a really super special guest that's here to help us kick off one of our summertime programs. Suzanne Catty is the co-president of the Cannington Horticultural Society. And she is here to talk about our Sassy Social Sunflower Club. So welcome to the Virtual Circ Desk, Suzanne.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And it's so fun to be talking about sunflowers because they really are one of the most beautiful and just most interesting plants. And who doesn't love a sunflower? I mean, really.
It's true. It's true. So what we wanted to do is we were thinking, you know, everyone's been indoors all year long. All the kids have been indoors all year long. And we were thinking, what can we do that, you know, is more of an outside thing and yet still kind of educational, brings awareness. And we love the idea. We're going to talk about that. So let's talk about sunflowers first of all. What are they? What are sunflowers?
Well, the reason I'm wearing daisies in my hair, besides the fact that they're in bloom right now, and it's sort of, you know, who doesn't love a daisy?
That's right.
They're in the same family. Sunflowers and daisies are sisters.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all one big family. And if you look at what a sunflower looks like, you know, it's got a center and then all the little rays.
Right.
It's really the way daisies look. In fact, you know, here's one.
Right.
So if this was all yellow, it would look quite a lot like a sunflower, really.
Yes.
So, but there are actually 70 different kinds of sunflowers. So they can be as short as 3 feet tall, or they can be as tall as 12 feet. So 12 feet would be like 2 people standing on top of each other, really, really, really way up there.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's all kinds of different ones. Sometimes they're all yellow, sometimes they're different colors. Sometimes sunflowers just have one stalk with one big head. That's usually the ones we grow for seeds.
Right.
And sometimes they have lots of arms with multicolored heads so that you can have one plant and have 6 or 7 different flowers on it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So we chose sunflowers because they're just fun. And we thought it would be fun to watch these plants grow. To be honest, I'm not even 100% sure what type of sunflower that we put into our little packages. So some might have different kinds than others, but we're hoping that the kids will plant them, or the big people will plant them, and then take some photos as they start to grow. So the one thing that we talked about when we were kind of getting ready for this that we both, I think, really loved was the idea that we can plant things on our properties, in our yards, that help out other creatures.
Absolutely.
And sunflowers, yeah.
In fact, what's interesting about sunflowers is that they're native to North America. You know, we have plants that have come from all over the world that now grow here, but sunflowers are a native North American plant. And we know from history that human beings have been growing sunflowers as a food crop and also to feed their animals for 4,000 years.
Wow.
4,000 years. We have found, you know, that's when you get into something called archaeology, and they look at fossils, and we know that they have been a food for us and for our animals, and of course for nature for 4,000 years. I mean, that's just, that's a really long time. And that tells you just how important sunflowers have always been for us and for the world that we live in. So we grow sunflowers to feed to our animals, but the pollinators, sunflowers don't just provide pollen, because, you know, lots of things like bees and that need pollen, but other insects go to the sunflowers for the nectar. And nectar is like it's like a sugary juice that the plant produces. So sunflowers produce both pollen and nectar. So there's a huge number of insect species that are really important to help pollinate other plants that go and feed on sunflowers.
Wow, like they're a part of a larger chain. They're a part of a larger community, is what it sounds like to me, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we've given out our little kits to everybody. And if you haven't got yours yet, Brock, you can come to any library branch that we have and pick up your Sassy Social Sunflower Club kit. So now the question is, where should we be planting our sunflower seeds? Is there a better spot, for example, or a worse spot?
Well, that's a really good question, actually. So they are called sunflowers because they like the sun. And, you know, when we're talking about the science part of plants, plants have Latin names. And the Latin name for a sunflower is Helianthus. And Helios was the name for the god of the sun. So everything about a sunflower tells you that they want to be in full sun. They want to have their face to the sun. In fact, that's one of the coolest things about sunflowers. And it's so great, especially for the kids, to watch this, because when sunflowers start to make their flower, first of all, they're going to make leaves, and the leaves are beautiful. They're shaped like a heart. How can you not love that?
Yeah, it's so great.
But when they start to make their flower heads, they're going to turn and they're going to face the east. And as the sun moves through the day, the sunflower head is going to follow the sun from east all the way to west. So by 6 o'clock in the, at 6 o'clock in the morning, it'll be facing east. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's going to be facing west. And then magically overnight, while you're asleep, that sunflower head is going to turn all the way back. And when the sun rises in the morning, it's going to be waiting to look at the sun as soon as it comes up over the horizon.
Wow. It's like making the most out of every moment of the sun ray.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Vicki, do you have yours in a good place?
Yes, I put it beside a fence, a new fence that we put up, and it's always in the sun, and it's warm there, and they're already coming up, and I was like so excited to see them. I planted some others in my back garden, and it's not always as sunny, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And the ones in the front are teddy bear sunflowers, which a coworker gave me, and that's where these different types of sunflowers come in. So I didn't want to look it up. I didn't look it up because I would just want to see what they'll come up looking like.
The magic. So Suzanne, so once we've put our sunflower seed into the ground, how long before we should be looking for at least something to start happening so we think we have a viable plant?
Well, you want to water it because right now we don't have enough rain. We're kind of having a drought here in Ontario, which is, it's not good, but it'll make the flower heads bigger. So at the end of the summer, you're actually going to have a bigger sunflower. But you need to water. So when you put the seed in the ground, make sure you water it every day and water it in the afternoon. So around 5 o'clock, because you don't want to water it during the heat of the day. And within 4 or 5 days, you should see the little shoot coming out of the ground, and you'll get your first 2 leaves. And the first 2 leaves will be round. And it'll be after it starts making the second and third leaf that you'll get those beautiful heart-shaped leaves, and they get really big.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take very long.
That's amazing. Okay, so that's a good thing to watch for. We know what we've got to watch for. So we're going to plant it in the sunniest place possible. We're going to make sure they've got lots of water in the afternoons, so that we can start looking for those heart-shaped leaves. So the other thing we had mentioned that you had brought to my attention, apart from all the great creatures that we get to help feed at the end of the harvest with this, is that there are things called companion plants. So what's a companion plant?
Well, tomatoes and sunflowers go together very well. So because what happens, and also potatoes. Tomatoes and potatoes are related to each other. So just like daisies and sunflowers are sisters, potatoes and tomatoes are sisters. And so the sunflower brings insects that will help keep the pests away from your tomatoes and your potatoes. So they make very good companion plants because one helps protect the other.
Right. Yeah. I had heard, I'm trying to think, I'd heard something, what comes to mind is the Three Sisters or something like that, right? Which
Yes.
is corn and beans. Is that right?
You have squash, corn, and beans. And you can absolutely, that's a really good point, Jeannie. You can plant beans when your sunflower gets, you want it to be at least 2 feet tall before you plant your bean seeds, because the beans grow quickly. But the bean will grow around the sunflower and climb up the sunflower as it grows too. So you can absolutely plant beans. And with corn and beans and squash, that's sort of an interesting chemical thing. The bean puts nitrogen into the soil, which helps the corn and the squash grow. So the bean will also help your sunflower grow taller.
And the sunflower kind of acts like its own organic trellis for the bean to grow up, the vine to kind of grow up, I would guess.
Absolutely. And the stalk on a sunflower, it gets quite thick and it's a little bit prickly. So that helps the bean hold on because it's not, the stalk isn't slippery. So the bean can really spiral up.
It can get some traction on that.
Exactly.
Great. Okay, so Suzanne, what we're hoping is that you will come back on to the Virtual Circ Desk towards the end of summer for a check-in, and we can talk about, we'll look at some of the photos of how some of our sunflowers are doing, maybe even identify some species that we've randomly put into our little bags that we sent out, and then talk again about when they might be ready and should we be harvesting them? Do the creatures just come, the birds and the squirrels on their own and just pull everything out, or, you know, that kind of thing. So we'd love to have you back again.
Plus, there's lots of things you can do, like the sunflower, the petals are edible. So if you have one of the sunflowers that makes many arms, you can take some petals off and you can put it in a salad. So you can actually,
like dandelions.
you can actually eat the flower.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't
How
either.
chic would that be to have a salad made of the petals of flower? Oh my goodness. I think I know what my next fancy lunch is going to be.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. Okay, so Brock Library people, if you haven't got your kits yet, please go right away. If you want more information about the Cannington Horticultural Society, you can go to the canningtonhorticulturalsociety.org and find out, I'm sure, tons more information and how to take part, because we all, you know, growing stuff just feels good.
Absolutely. And we have some fun projects for kids also, including an art project for young people to paint a design that's with an anti-litter or pro-environment message to paint on our garbage bins around town. So, you know, you might want to design, once your sunflowers are growing, you might want to design a mural with the sunflowers on it and images of the pollinators. And that could go on a garbage can here in town and you would see your artwork every time you walk around.
I like how you think, Flower Lady.
We'll
That's
share
great.
your link to that for sure on our page,
Yeah.
so that we, you know, that everybody knows, because that is a great project for the kids. Really is. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you.
Thank you. And just Brock, really quick, we do have lots of materials, both in our catalog, both for junior gardeners and older gardeners. So if you're interested in finding more about gardening, about species, about native indigenous species, anything like that, of course, we have that material. We can get that to you as soon as we can. So, Suzanne.
I have to say thank you to the library, because all of you are such huge friends to the environment. You have one of the best collections of books about plants and growing. and the seed library and all the things you do. So we just really appreciate so much everything that the Brock Library does for the plants and the environment.
Oh, well, thank you. We love our community partners so much. Thank you for bringing your passion, your knowledge, your experience, because I can feel it, and I'm sure everybody watching can as well. And your daisies, your daisy chain, exactly. So that's it for now. Yep.
Thank you.
She's eating her daisy. You see that? Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Brock Township Public Library Virtual Circ Desk.
Bye.
Bye.